of the name of the greatest Sanskrit poet in history. His name was Kalidasa. So Kali is part of his name actually. You know how he got this name? It's an interesting story. And of course Kalidasa he can be roughly called Shakespeare of Sanskrit. But remember, he is not only the writer of the greatest plays and dramas in Sanskrit, he is also the writer, the author of the greatest poetry in Sanskrit. In literary tradition, if you devotional poetry, Shankaracharya, but in the classical literature, which deals with different aspects of human life. He has his famous Mahakavyas and his dramas called Abhijnana Shakuntala was translated into German in the early 18th century. And even this Kumarasambhava and Raghuvamsha, the poetical classics, were translated into almost every single major language in the world. So anyway, that's just an idea of the greatness of this poet. He got this name Kalidasa. Kalidasa means the servant of Mother Kali. That's the meaning of it. So how he got this name? So you can see another aspect of this Kali. Not the fierce one, but a different dimension. Kalidasa was born as a dunce. He was so stupid, so unintelligent, and so much immersed in inertia, laziness, and ignorance. So during that time, you know, the particular kingdom is called Ujjaini of the Guptas. Vikramaditya, Samudragupta, they were the great emperors of the Gupta dynasty of Ujjain. So Kalidasa was living in that city. At that time, there was a princess in the royal family. And she was reputed to be the greatest scholar in the empire, the young princess. And she had a fairly high opinion about her scholarship. So she was a bit arrogant. So her father and mother asked her to get ready for marriage, but she put forward one condition. She will marry only a scholar, of course scholar prince, who could defeat her in arguments, in a scholarly debate. That was her condition. She won't marry anyone who was inferior to her in scholarship, and there was nobody in that empire who was not superior to her. Who was not inferior to her. She was the greatest. So it was very difficult to get somebody who was superior to her in scholarship. So many princes from neighboring kingdoms came. They got defeated in the debates, felt humiliated, and went back. So many of these defeated princes, they made a conspiracy to teach her a lesson. So they were looking for a very dull, stupid person who would marry her. As revenge for defeating them in scholarly debates, they conspired to somehow go in search of a very stupid, dull, uneducated person who can somehow defeat her. Somehow they actually hatched a conspiracy. So they were looking for somebody. Then they found this Kalidasa, young man. And what he was doing, he was sitting on the top of a tree, sitting on a branch, and he was cutting the same branch on which he was sitting. He did not know that if the branch falls, he will fall and die. He was so unintelligent, so stupid. So they thought, this is the right man to marry this great scholar princess. And they brought him, and there was an argument. Anyway, the argument is something very funny. You should know a little bit of Sanskrit, you know. So there was a reference to the demon king of Ramayana, Ravana. So Kalidasa was so stupid that he could not even pronounce properly Ravana. So he pronounced Rabhana because he could not pronounce correctly. He was practically unlettered. And then the learned princess made fun of him and he felt so humiliated. And then the scholars who were assembled in the assembly, they said, he's not wrong because Vibhishana and Kumbhakarna are the two younger brothers of Ravana. And there is a Bha in Vibhishana and there is a Bha in Kumbhakarna. These are two young brothers of Ravana, the villain of Ramayana. So Ravana also should have a Bha, not a Va. So the correct word name is Ravana, but this Kalidasa pronounced it Rabhana, which was obviously wrong and stupid. And when the lady made fun of him, then the scholars came to his rescue and told the lady, no, he's not wrong, you are wrong. There is a Bha in Ravana. It is not Va but Bha, because there is a Bha in the names of his two younger brothers. So the eldest brother cannot be without a Bha. So the debate it means all the scholars agreed with his view and disagreed with her view. So finally, she had to admit defeat and she had to marry this dunce, this uneducated, illiterate person. And then, of course, you know what will happen? When she found out the truth about him, she drove him away, drove him out of the palace. And he was wandering about. And then finally, he happened to come to a Kali Mandir, Kali temple. And he entered and was sitting there. He didn't bother. When you ask any average Hindu, can you go to a Kali temple at midnight and sit there? They'll be terrified. They may go to Krishna temple, Rama temple, but Kali temple, they'll be terrified. So there is a tradition. But he was so foolish that he didn't know how to be afraid of anything. So he happily entered the temple and sat there. And the story goes, again it's a story. And midnight Kali came in her terrible form. And she found that somebody was hiding inside the shrine. She tried to drive him away by making some fierce noises. She tried to frighten him, but he was so dull that he could not even frighten him. And finally she shouted, "Who is the one sitting inside my shrine?" And Kalidasa replied, "I'm Kalidasa." She found that this man was not afraid. So she came back to her mother, affectionate aspect of her personality. Because when she found that normally all people will be terrified, normally, when they hear the loud voice of Kali and all that, they'll be terrified. But in this case, this man is not even afraid of me. Rather, he is totally nonchalant, careless. I am Kalidasa. If you are Kali, I am Kalidasa. But again, he did not know the actual name of his own name. His name means the Dasa of Kali, the servant of Kali. So he was very happy. Oh, my son, my devotee is answering me, identifying himself as my servant. So she knew everything about him immediately. So through one little door of the shrine, there's an opening, and the mother Kali asked him to put out his tongue. And on that tongue, she wrote a divine verbal symbol, Bijakshara. Because only the man could not be seen, she asked him to put out his tongue alone. He is standing outside. He is standing inside the shrine, and she is outside. And she blessed him. You will be Kalidasa. You will be a servant of Divine Mother Kali. And from that time onwards, he became the greatest poet, scholar, dramatist, playwright in the king's court. The king's court was adorned by 18 great scholars and poets. And of them, 9 were outstanding poets, Navaratna is called, and Kalidasa was the greatest. So this is the other aspect of Kali. I mean, she is the very embodiment of mercy, kindness, compassion, and blissfulness.